Capture in your mind for a moment that the US Destroyer Decatur, under the command of Ensign Nimitz, ran aground in a mud bank in the Philippines on July 7th, and that the crash at Roswell, New Mexico, of an advanced craft also happened on July 7th. The 39 years between the two is immaterial, because time's not linear, brah. Ensign Nimitz was court-martialed for the grounding and was sent back to America just in time for submarine school, where he went on to command America's first submarine flotilla. Going under the ocean is quite a parallel to going into space. As you'll see in this story, it's almost like he was meant to be sent home. In World War II, as the Pacific Ocean commander over all Allied forces, Nimitz and his boss, Chief Naval Officer Admiral King, proposed the hopping of remote Pacific islands in order to reach the target of Okinawa. They rejected the plan of General Douglas MacArthur to advance on Japan through New Guinea, the Philippines, and Formosa. One can only imagine the aversion Nimitz would have had to any plan going through the Philippines. Thing is, Nimitz's strategy of hopping islands led to the development of bases on those remote islands where the indigenous tribes watched American planes land and take off, leaving boxes of supplies and food, and talking into a little box to the gods named Charlie. When Tom DeLonge presented the cargo cult thesis to the people who would become his advisors, it was Admiral Nimitz and King's strategy of attack through the remote islands of the Pacific that later brought anthropologists to study and discover the cargo cult phenomenon. Chew on that one for a while. The USS Nimitz is also the only carrier Tom DeLonge has ever played on for the troops, doing so in Bush 41's first Gulf War, and the USS Nimitz is the aircraft carrier that captured the unidentified aerial phenomenon off the coast of California, released by To the Stars Academy. Important to the story is the fact that after World War II, Admiral Nimitz became the Chief Naval Officer, or the CNO. In this post, he was the individual who authorized Operation High Jump, the naval expedition to Antarctica. We are back to our friend from the CIA. While the official story of Operation High Jump was one of science and frolic, here is Anonymous's recount of the event, found in a file at the OSS warehouse in Washington, D.C. in the late 1950s.
Eventually walked further down the aisle with file cabinets on both sides, and there was shelves above the file cabinets, and way up on a shelf about 7 feet tall, I saw a little cardboard box, and the thing said, miscellaneous secretarial notes. I thought, that's probably nothing, you know. So I took the step stool and got the thing down and looked at it. In the bottom of the package, opened up was a brown, heavy cardboard envelope tied up with a string. So he looked through it. I gave it to him. He looked at it, and it was a treaty signed between Germany and the United States. And during the end of World War II, Germany surrendered to the United States.
Right.
The low term. But, in other words, we lost the high-tech war that we had with them at the South Pole. It was signed in 47.
Officials
Yeah,
signed it.
Hitler signed it, and there was one of his secretaries, probably the guy that typed, was another witness. Yes.
Who was the American signatory?
It was Admiral Byrd.
Okay.
He
And
signed it.
what was the terms of the treaty?
Terms of the treaty was that we surrendered to Germany.
Since this isn't a documentary on Chester W. Nimitz's life, I can only shine the light on this final observation and the questions it raises. On April 21st, 1948, the United Nations passed Resolution 47, a perfect number in numerology, making Admiral Nimitz the plebiscite administrator to Jammu and Kashmir. This region seems to represent more than we see on the surface, and something tells me that there was more to Admiral Nimitz's appointment than settling the conflict there. Admiral Nimitz died February 20th, 1966. While I sense that Tom DeLonge has additional personal Nimitz synchronicities to share someday, I'm completely certain that the story of Admiral Chester W. Nimitz is long from done being told. Like, share, subscribe. Leave me your thoughts down below. Peace.